Right. Okay. All right. So then, so last week then, um, last week we were working, or I started to work by literally copying other artists' work to get some inspiration and things. And I was looking at Michael Morgan, who does these fantastic landscapes where he uses a lot of his imagination as well as puts together some ideas using different perspectives and things. I suspect as well he uses collage in his work, so I've used those ideas in a version of his painting that shows like a hilltop village in it and things. Okay, so let's just have a look at what I've looked at. I'm going to change the artist this week. I'm going to do a different artist. So this was the one, the painting that I did last week, where we looked at the details. I'm just going to move that forward. Where is it? There it is. Right. Move up to the top so I can enlarge it a little bit. There we go. So I said last week that I really enjoyed looking at this painting because we have the nice blues and the oranges next to each other at the top, but then you've got all this wonderful detail and texture down the bottom. So you would have seen me working on the bottom area, which I've got shown just here, look. And instead of just painting the lines on the fields, I actually use watercolor paper on there. Sorry, not watercolor paper, wallpaper. And then I painted over that and use a dry brush over the ridges of that sort of surface to create those lines in the field. And the nice thing as well was creating the background using things like tissue paper. I also use some wax resist to create some extra texture in the center of the picture, which we can have a look at in a few minutes as well. So this week, what I'm going to move on to is I'm going to look at this artist next door here. And I think Jan might have been looking at this artist already, because I remember talking to her about it. So I thought I'd have a try this week, but I found a painting here that I thought was quite nice. I really like the colours on this, and I like the horizontal line going through the centre there, and some of the different mark making that's going on in the foreground on the textured areas. So I've taken my own sort of approach to this again, as we've been doing previously, and I'm creating some background textures and things using print. I'm actually printing using watercolor paper and things as well. So I'm going to show you that now. I said watercolor paper again, I meant textured wallpaper. Now that's fine. Okay, so so just to remind you of what I did last lesson with that wallpaper, I'll just zoom in a little bit and focus perhaps a bit better than that. So just here you can see where I've applied the wallpaper just around this area, and I've done a bit of dry brushing over the top. So that basically means that you don't add too much water to the paint, and you literally just run the brush over the sort of surface, and it picks up on the textured bumps and things. And then down this area, if you remember me, I did this actually last week, I zoomed in a bit. This area I put wax crayon, candle wax underneath, and then I painted back over the top. And I kind of forgot that I'd done the wax, and then when it came to applying colour pencils over there, I ended up with this quite interesting grainy effect, but no colour pencil. So it's quite a nice accidental result. A little bit like when we looked at the video of Kurt Jackson as well, didn't we? And how he uses different materials and waits to see what's going to happen. So it's kind of a nice little experimental accident, if you like, going on down that area. And then at the top I was using a colour pencil, to add these kind of lines and textures back over the top there as well.
So this area I have already put the candle wax on the surface of the painting, and I'm painting over with this lovely sort of warm grey, adding a bit of variation in there as well with some white, and then in a bit I had a bit of yellow, some yellows in there as well onto the greys. So you can see the painting is building up quite well. I still really like how the bubble wrap is showing on the bottom there. I'll actually try and leave a little bit of that showing later on as well. So here I'm adding some of the shadows and some of the branches that appear on the rest of the picture, just by loosely putting those in and then filling again in to the background area with some of that nice green that shows on the original picture. Although I am adding variations on those colours in my own version of this picture. So the grey area I just mentioned above, once that's dry and I've worked into the rest of the picture a bit, I come back and sand it away again. So in goes some more branches. What I really like about this picture is how some of the gaps behind branches and so forth have been filled in with a contrasting sort of matted colour, grey sort of purpley colour, or at least that's how it looks on my photocopy there. On the screen you can see the picture just up there in the top left hand side, how the colours vary quite a lot. So in the middle of the picture you've got this lovely sort of warm browny red colour, so I'm just popping that in there at the moment. And a bit that I really enjoyed about this work was painting in between the branches. Painting in other areas again, similar sort of thing. I do end up covering over a large area of some of the textures and patterns that I'd put in previously, but that's okay. In some cases, as you'll see in a bit, I'll sand back to reveal some of those colours underneath. Sometimes it's just really nice to work over a surface that has been pre-prepared. It allows for you to discover things or to have little accidents that actually add something to the quality of the painting. So it's nice as well. I put that red bit in earlier. I just added some variation on that as well. And you'll see me here when I do the branches, I actually turn the brush over and scratch the paint back again to create a little bit more additional texture into the picture as well. So I just basically put some paint on, turn the brush over and scratch it with the back of my brush. Surface. So here we go, it's sanding away just to sort of get kind of a scratchy effect, a sort of grainy scratchy effect, and some of the ripples that had been created by the previous bits of paper on there underneath actually created kind of a branchy kind of effect on there as well. So overall lots of fun with doing this copy. The painting you see up in the top corner there is the original by Judith Bergerson, but it's the photocopy that I've got there is more of a close-up. So I'm not drawing or painting the whole of the picture. I've kind of enlarged a section of it, if you like. And this bit worked quite well with a little bit of green pencil, but other areas, because I had the wax on, didn't work with the pencil very well at all. But actually the pencil was useful for removing some of the painted areas in there. In other words, creating that grainy effect that I talked about earlier. So very loosely now, adding some of similar colours to build up the texture on the surface of the picture before getting to the end of this one, So quite a brief video this week, but an effective one, I hope, and I hope you enjoy it, and I'll see you